Sudesh Kumarji from Faridabad.
Radhe Radhe Maharaji. I am on the spiritual path for the past 40 years and I have been preaching Bhagavad Gita for the past 50 years. And for the last 13 years or 14 years, I attended Satsang with a lot of attention. But even after so much effort, I feel that my false ego is still at great heights. I feel like I am still where I was 40 years ago. We had mentioned in a Q&A session that the false ego is only eliminated by the mercy of a guru. I am now surrendered to you and I see you as my guru.
Chanting of the holy name. Unless you chant the holy name with great commitment and meditate on it internally, this false world will continue to appear to be the truth and bhakti devotion will not blossom. This means there has been a lack of focus on your chanting. You can memorize the Bhagavad Gita, you can preach Bhagavad Gita, those are different things. But relishing Bhagavad Gita, adopting it in your every action is a different matter. The false ego is eliminated by relishing the Bhagavad Gita, and ingesting the Bhagavad Gita is very difficult. It is very easy to instruct others. It is easy to memorize the Bhagavad Gita and recite for others, but adopting in your very actions is very difficult. If you adopt even one shloka of Bhagavad Gita, we will attain God. God is saying,
भगवान कह रहे हैं अनन्य चेता सततम यो माम स्मरति नित्य सा तस्याहम सुलभा पार्थ नित्य युक्तस्य योगिना.
Now 40 years have passed, so much time, and your own ego has not been dissipated. So Uriya Baba is saying that one whose false ego has not been eliminated, he has not obtained the spiritual object, after obtaining which nothing is left to obtain. Because the more the false ego is dissipated, the more bhakti blossoms. False ego is that very knot that ties us to the cycle of birth and death. This body is not holding on to us. We are latching onto the body. For example, the parrot is holding on to a rotating bar. If it leaves it, it can fly away. But this Nalini, this rotating rod, is one on which a hand fan swivels. This is tied to the loose rope and a grain is stuck on it. When the parrot comes and sits on it, it just twists like this. The parrot holds onto it even more tightly and thinks it has been trapped. If I leave it, I will die. But if it lets go, it will be free. This is how we are trapped. We think if we rise above the body platform, then what happiness is there? Because we're getting happiness from the body. Even though in reality we get pleasure from remembrance of God, not by remembering the body. We get happiness when we rise above. We forget about the body and remember God. For example, you can be eating, drinking, doing whatever activities during the day, but the pleasure you will get in sleeping, you will not find anywhere else. If you don't get proper sleep, then regardless of what you're eating and enjoying, you will be disturbed. If you don't sleep for 2, 3 or 4 days properly, then see how you'll feel. Therefore, the pleasure of sleep is paramount. And what is the pleasure in sleeping? It is forgetting about the material world. For 5, 6 hours, we forget about the material world. Then you feel completely fresh. Your senses are strengthened. You feel more awake and alive. Now, if while you're awake, you forget about God for 1 hour and get entangled with Maya, then how many disturbances are there? And if you forget about Maya for 1 hour and get immersed in thoughts of God, then you'll be in Samadhi. There are only two sides. Every moment, Maya tries to attract our attention, but if we divert it towards God, we're a devotee. If we get situated in Maya, we're a materialistic person. This is the only difference. This is the essence of all scriptures. Constant remembrance of God and forgetting Maya. This is the essence of all the scriptures. But see, what are we remembering? Person, place, things, attachments, sense, objects. That is all we remember. It is difficult to remember God for most people. Passing time is not the fruit of worshipping God. For example, saying that I've spent 50 years in spirituality. See, in 50 years, even if we have one hole in our bag, then whatever we have collected drains out and nothing remains. Therefore, if we plug the hole and then just fill it with one drop, then over time, this will get filled up. Then we will never forget God. Therefore, somewhere or the other, we have been making a mistake. And if you look at yourself honestly, you know what the mistakes are that you have made. It is not like that you do not know. Whatever mistakes someone mistakes, they know about it. They may try to cover it up with excuses, but if we have made any mistakes in our lives, don't we know about them? I made a mistake in this instance, I made a mistake in that situation. Similarly, everybody knows. If we stop these mistakes which are known to us, then at the very moment the ocean of bliss will start to swell up within us. We know our mistake, but we feel that we're getting some happiness out of the mistake. That is why we're unable to leave it. Whether it is sense enjoyment, some illicit relationship, some dirty activity or dirty thoughts, the reason our attention is going towards the material world is because we feel there is happiness in it. We feel we will get happiness from it. That is the only reason. You see for yourself. The Lord has only one ask of us. If you correct these internal mistakes, then you read the Bhagavad Gita. God has no ask of us. The Lord only has one ask of us. He is not asking us to build temples for Him. Do this for me, do that for me. He says in the Gita,
भगवान कह रहे हैं मय्येव मन आधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिम निवेश.
He's asking that we engage our mind and intelligence in Him, then we will reside in Him.
मन मना भो मद भक्तो माद्यादि मामनो.
The Lord explained many processes.
कह रहे कि सर्वधर्मान परित्यज्य मामेकम शरणम. कह रहे हैं दैवी है सा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्या मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते माया मेता.
He's saying the same thing in various ways. He just wants our attention, our mind. Never did he mention, donate money for me. Money is not required to attain God. In spirituality, you do not need money. In spiritual bliss, you do not need money. You do not require mundane things. Somewhere or the other, our intelligence is reversed. We're considering sense enjoyment and material fame to be a source of happiness, but we're talking about the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. The essence of Gita has not penetrated our heart. Even one shloka of Gita can help us attain God. One shloka can make us attain God. Just adopt one shloka as a principle in your life and use that as a guiding principle. For example, when we started on this path since childhood, many difficulties arise on the path. For example, we were wandering around the banks of Ganga Ji and you do not know when you will receive food or not. Then I adopted 2 shlokas in my life.
मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदा आगमा पायिनो अनित्यास तास्तितिक्षस्व भारत यम ही न व्यथ्यन्ते ते पुरुषम पुरुषर्षभ सुख दुःख समा.
Be equipoised in happiness and distress. I just adopted these 2 shlokas in my life. The one who is not disturbed in any difficulties.
यम ही न व्यथ्यन्ते ते पुरुषम पुरुषर्षभ सम दुःखा सुखाधीरम स्वमृतत्वाय कल्मते.
The tolerant person who remains equipoised in happiness and distress becomes eligible for the nectarian spiritual position. O Arjuna, this happiness and distress are temporary. They will come and go. Favorable and unfavorable conditions will come and go. Just tolerate them. By tolerating, you will become great. Whenever I would face difficulties or obstacles, I would remember these 2 shlokas. If I would face difficulty, I would start singing this shloka. Oh Arjuna, tolerate these difficulties. Just tolerate. They're temporary. They will come and go. They're not permanent. They have come, but they will disappear. Be peaceful and do not forget God. Therefore, I feel if we get a hold of our weaknesses, the mistakes that we're aware of, if we just give those up, then the instructions of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and the saints will manifest in our heart. If those mistakes remain in our heart, then it is like milking a cow in a pot filled with holes. No milk will remain. It will not be able to nourish our heart. Therefore, we should be careful ourselves. See, saints, Mahatmas and scriptures tell you the way to uplift yourself. But you have to walk the path yourself. If you do not follow the instructions, then nobody can deliver you. So just examine yourself and see what mistakes you've made so far. Remove those mistakes and come down to this one thing, constantly chanting the holy name. Because now you have reached the old age. So just constantly chant the holy name, and whatever your last breath is, you'll be chanting the holy name, then you will definitely attain God. For example, if we just say Radha and we pass away, then we will surely attain God. See, whenever our last breath happens, if we practice constantly chanting the holy name, then we will be chanting the holy name at that moment and we will attain God. Whether we have a false ego or it has been dissipated. So we only have to catch one thing. We should not give up the chanting of the holy name. And if we always remember the holy name, then we will rise above the body platform automatically. Being engrossed in body thoughts is what nourishes the false ego, and remembering God is what eliminates the false ego. So focus on your contemplation. Whatever name is dear to you, chant that name constantly.